In section 2.6, we were asked to solve by grouping or factoring, and here was 18, the one that people had trouble with. Now, the first step of factoring should always be pulling out what's in common to everything. 2 goes into both of those. This is 2 and this is 2 times 7. So we can pull a 2 out. And this is 5x's and 3x's, so there's at least 3x's in both of these. So we're going to go x to the third. And 2x to the third times what makes 2x to the fifth? That would have to be an x squared. And 2x to the third times what is negative 14x to the third? That would have to be negative 7. Okay. Now, what would make this be 0? We got two things multiplied equals 0. So 2x to the third could be 0, or x squared minus 7 could be 0. So divide by 2, and we get x to the third would have to equal 0. Take the cube root, and we get x equals 0. Here we'd add 7, and then we take the square root, and when you take the square root, it's plus or minus. So our three answers are 0, plus the square root of 7, and minus the square root of 7. And those are the three answers by grouping and factoring. We used mostly factoring, pulling out what was common in the first step of factoring. Okay, now let's go to problem number 46. There was a question. So a pendulum, this is how the period, how long it takes to swing from one side to the other. So if you got to imagine a pendulum swinging back and forth, if it goes from here, goes 1001, 1002, that'd be a period of 2 seconds. 2 pi square root of the length of the arm, so if it was the length of my pen, that would be how long it is. And if we do it in the length in centimeters, and they just give you a hint about that, we get it. So it says a period of 1 second. So we're going to put 1 in for the t equals 2 pi square root. They wanted us to figure out the length. So we're going to leave L, and they said the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second per second. 9.8 meters per second. Okay, so we got to solve for L. This stuff is times this thing, so I'm going to divide both sides by that. So we get 1, divided by 2 pi equals the square root of L over 9.8. To remove a square root, we do the opposite, which is square, so I have to square this whole thing. And so now I have L over 9.8. L divided by 9.8 is 1 over 2 pi squared. And to get rid of the 9.8, I multiply by 9.8. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I have to multiply by 9.8. And I get the L is 9.8 times 1 over 2 pi squared. And let's see what that works out to be. So pulling out the handy dandy calculator, 9.8 parenthesis 1 divided by, and now I have to tie the 2 and the pi together, so I got to go parenthesis 2 pi Close parentheses for that. Now close the parenthesis for the one over and square everything in the parentheses, and that should be L. And it turns out to be 0.24, but that would be in, since gravity is in meters per second, that means everything in this equation is done in meters, and so this is meters. And so to get it in centimeters, actually that's rounds to 2.25. So I basically got 0.25 meters, or a quarter of a meter, and a meter is 100 centimeters. So if I multiply by 100 centimeters makes 1 meter, then the meters cancel, and 0.25 times 100 is 25 centimeters. So if it was 25 centimeters long, my pendulum, length of the pendulum, it would swing back and forth once over and back every second.